Morning, dear friends. Today we shall consider the city of Cardiff, which I visited this March of 2026. It is a place of quiet beauty and orderly charm. May this brief presentation prove uplifting and instructive to you all. Let us now proceed. In this video, I'll also show you how to say a phrase in Welsh. For example, welcome, which is croeso in Welsh. So, welcome to Cardiff would be croeso I Gaerdydd. Just say it like croeso I Gaerdydd. And welcome to Wales, croeso I Gaerdydd. Pronounced croeso I Gymru. Try it out. Croeso I Gaerdydd and croeso I Gymru. Since it can be a little difficult to pronounce at first, I will put some Welsh phrases for you in the video description or in the comment section below. Wedyn, in adran silwado, isod, bydda i'n rhoi rai ymadroddion in el Cymraeg di. To be honest, I didn't spend much time in Cardiff. I only went for a few hours on Saturday from London and came back the same day. Still, what I saw, I really liked. I think it's a beautiful city. A dwef y gwir, dod wyn dim wedi bod yn Caerdydd yn hir. Dim ond ag digo reo did Saturday o London, ac in all yr undernod. Sy'r cynni, rodyn yn hoffin ffor, i'r hyn o weles. Men dinas bert iawn in Feimarn. To say I like in Welsh, we use the verb hoffi, or the more colloquial version, lisio. The structure is simple. Dwy in plus lisio, or hoffi plus the thing you like. For example, I like this city is said as dwy in lisio the dinas hon. You can also say dwy in hoffi the dinas hon. Both are correct, but lisio sounds more natural in everyday conversation. Right now, what you're seeing on screen is one of the incredible castles of Wales. Wales is famous for having more castles per square mile than anywhere else in the world. Over 600 of them. Many were built by the English King Edward I in the late 13th century to help conquer and control Wales. The most famous ones are the 4 UNESCO World Heritage Sites in North Wales: Carnarvon, Conwy, Beaumaris, and Harlech. These massive stone fortresses, with their huge towers, thick walls, and dramatic locations overlooking the sea or mountains, are stunning examples of medieval military architecture. Some feel like powerful strongholds from history, others like impressive ruins perched on cliffs that still tell stories of battles, princes, and kings from hundreds of years ago. Whether you're looking at the impressive towers of Carnarvon or the dramatic ruins high above the landscape, these castles are a highlight of any trip to Wales. Ar hyn o bryd, i'r hyn rydych chi'n ei wel ar y sgrin, iwn o gestil anigoel Cymru. Mae Cymru yn enwog am gael mwy o gestil fesul milltir sgwar, nag unrhyw le arall yn el byd, dros 600 ohonyn nhw. Adeiladwyd lawer ohonyn nhw, gan el brenin Edward II, in el 13 gan rif I helpe gan i'r orchefigu a reoli Cymru. I rai enwocaf yw el pedwar safle treftadaeth de byd, UNESCO in el gogledd, Carnarvon, Conwy, Beaumaris, a Harlech. What you're seeing on screen right now is Animal Wall. This is a really cool part that I particularly liked. The animals carved in stone. They're very, very well designed. This is a very famous decorative wall right next to Cardiff Castle in the city centre. On top of the wall, there are 15 animals carved in stone that look like they're perched or watching from above. The animals were originally designed by the architect William Burgess during the Victorian era at the end of the 19th century. The first animals, around 8 or 9 of them, were sculpted by Thomas Nicholls between 1887 and 1890. They have glass eyes and look very realistic with lots of fine detail. Later, in the 1920s and 1930s, the wall was moved to its current position because the street was widened and more animals were added, sculpted by Alexander Carrick. Me wel, i'r anifeiliaid in Caerdydd, Cymru. And wel, garreg hanesyddol ar hyd stryd o castell, wrth ymyl Castell Caerdydd. Adeiladwyd ddiwedd y 1910 gan cerfydd ardalid beauty, ac mae'n cynnwys 15 o cerflunia anifeiliaid maint naturiol fel lewyd, arfwen, morlo, blid, ardd a mwynsi. Mae gan rai of cerflunia Victoriaid gwrdidol, ligaid gwydr, gan ei gwenwyd yn nodwyd leol hyfryd a swynol.
Forget everything the previous person said. I am the real expert on Cardiff. Main narration, exactly as before. Cardiff Castle is one of the most fascinating historic sites in Wales, with nearly 2,000 years of history on the very same spot. The story begins with the Romans. They were the first to fortify this strategic location beside the River Taff, which offered easy access to the sea. The first Roman fort was probably built around 55 AD during the conquest of the local Silures tribe. Over the following centuries, the Romans constructed a total of 4 forts on this site. The final and most impressive one was built in stone around the year 270 to 300 AD, specifically to defend the coast against pirate raids from Ireland. Its thick walls, towers, and gateways still form the basis of the Roman remains you can see at the castle today. After the Romans left Britain in the early 5th century, the area continued to be known as Caer Taff, the fort on the Taff, which eventually gave the city its Welsh name, Cardiff. In the late 11th century, the Normans arrived and built their own Motte and Bailey castle directly on top of the old Roman fort. The striking stone keep that still stands today dates mainly from the 12th century. Over the centuries, Cardiff Castle was attacked and rebuilt several times, but its most spectacular transformation came in the 19th century, when the 3rd Marquess of Bute and the architect William Burgess turned the interior into an extraordinary Victorian Gothic Revival palace, filled with stunning decorations, carvings, and lavish rooms. Today, when you visit Cardiff Castle, you're walking through layers of history, Roman walls from nearly 2,000 years ago, a medieval Norman keep, and the opulent Victorian interiors, all in the heart of the city. It's a powerful reminder that this site has been an important defensive and strategic location for almost 2 millennia. With this explanation, you'll have got a small idea of just how interesting this castle is and how incredibly ancient it is. Speaking of antiquity, we're also going to talk about another fascinating topic that is very much part of this region, the Welsh language. The Welsh language, known in its own tongue as Cymraeg, is a Celtic language belonging to the Brittonic branch. It is one of the oldest living languages in Britain. Its roots go back to the ancient Brittonic language spoken by the Celtic tribes who arrived in Britain around 600 BC. Welsh as we recognize it began to take shape between the 5th and 6th centuries AD, after the Romans left Britain. The earliest written evidence of Welsh dates from around the year 700 AD. In other words, the Welsh language has more than 1,400 years of documented history, with Celtic roots stretching back over 2,500 years. It is closely related to Breton in France and Cornish in Cornwall. Today, Welsh is still very much alive. Around 18% of the population of Wales speak it, and you'll see it everywhere, on road signs, in schools, on television, and in daily life. It has survived centuries of pressure from English, thanks to a strong literary tradition and modern revival efforts. Right here in Cardiff, you're standing in a city whose Welsh name is Cardiff, a living reminder of this ancient language that has been spoken in these lands for thousands of years. What you're seeing right now is the Civic Centre in Cardiff, one of the most important and elegant areas in the city. Right in front of us, that big white building is the National Museum Cardiff. It's one of the main cultural spots here, with exhibitions ranging from natural history to art and even dinosaurs. This whole area is known for its classic architecture, wide open streets, and these tall trees that give it a really calm and almost monumental atmosphere. Now, just next to the museum, literally a short walk away, you've got the Cardiff City Hall, which is the city's main government building. That one is easy to recognize because of its big dome on top. And surrounding all of this, you've got green spaces and parks, including the famous Butte Park. So it's actually a really nice place to walk around, not just a formal civic area. Now that we're standing in front of the flag that represents this region, I think it would be interesting to talk about how Wales, although it is a nation with a very strong identity and its own culture, forms part of the United Kingdom as one of its 4 constituent nations. In other words, it is not a sovereign independent country like France or Spain, but rather shares sovereignty with England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland within the same state. Wales has its own parliament, the Senedd, its own government, and legislative powers in areas such as health, education, transport, and the environment. However, matters like defence, foreign policy, immigration, and most taxation remain the responsibility of the British Parliament in Westminster. Historically, Wales did not become a separate country by breaking away from the United Kingdom. In fact, it was quite the opposite. It was gradually incorporated into England and later into the United Kingdom. It all began in the Middle Ages. In 1282-1283, King Edward I of England conquered the last independent Welsh territory, the Principality of Gwynedd, and in 1284 he issued the Statute of Rhuddlan, which annexed much of Wales to the English crown. From that point onwards, the heir to the English throne has carried the title of Prince of Wales. The key moment of legal and administrative integration came in the 16th century under King Henry VIII, who had Welsh ancestry through his father. Between 1535 and 1542, the Laws in Wales Acts, also known as the Acts of Union, were passed. These laws fully incorporated Wales into the Kingdom of England. English law was applied across the territory. Wales was divided into counties. It was given representation in the English Parliament, and English was established as the language of administration and the courts. From then on, Wales and England formed a single legal entity. When England and Scotland united in 1707 to create the Kingdom of Great Britain, and later in 1801 with Ireland to form the United Kingdom, Wales was already included as part of the English side. It was only in recent decades, with the process of devolution, 1997 to 1999, that Wales regained its own institutions. First, the National Assembly, today known as Senedd Cymru, and then additional legislative powers. This has allowed Wales to have its own voice in government within the United Kingdom, without ceasing to be part of it. In summary, Wales has always been a nation with its own identity, but politically, it has gone from being conquered and annexed to becoming a constituent nation with self-government inside the modern United Kingdom.
Vamos falar sobre o país de Gales. Ten identidade forte e cultura propia, mas é uma das 4 naciones do Reino Unido, sen soberanía plena. Partilha con Inglaterra, Escocia e Irlanda do Norte. Ten parlamento propio, Senedd, e poderes en saúd, educación e transportes, mas defensa, relaciones externas e fiscalidad fican en Westminster. Foi conquistado no século XIII e integrado totalmente no XVI, pelas leis de Henrique VIII. Solo en 1997-1999 gañó autogobierno con la devolución. Resumo, nación con alma propia, que pasó de anexada a autónoma dentro do Reino Unido. Now, let's talk about another fantastic part of Cardiff, the area just a bit further down, towards the waterfront known as Cardiff Bay. Later in the video, I'll be passing by there. Cardiff Bay is the vibrant coastal heart of the city, built around a large freshwater lake created by the well-known Cardiff Bay barrage. In the past, this was a busy tidal dockland called Tiger Bay, once the world's biggest coal exporting port. Ships from all over the world docked here, and it became a diverse, multicultural melting pot. Today, it's been completely transformed into a modern, lively waterfront area. It's perfect for a relaxed walk along the promenade, with stunning views across the water. Some of the highlights you'll see include the Wales Millennium Centre, an iconic arts and performance venue with its famous slate front and copper roof. The Senedd, the striking home of the Welsh Parliament with its modern open architecture. The historic Pierhead Building, a beautiful red brick Victorian landmark. Mermaid Quay, packed with restaurants, bars, cafes, and shops, ideal for grabbing something to eat or drink while watching the boats. You can also enjoy boat trips. Visit Techniquest, a great science discovery centre for all ages, or simply stroll across the barrage for beautiful views towards Penarth. It's a great contrast to the elegant civic centre we saw earlier, more modern, energetic, and focused on leisure, culture, and the sea. Definitely one of the most popular spots in Cardiff for both locals and visitors.
Ora parliamo di un'altra zona fantastica di Cardiff, la Cardiff Bay, poco più a valle. Più avanti nel video passerò proprio da quelle parti. Cardiff Bay è il cuore costiero e vivace della città, nato intorno a un grande lago d'acqua dolce, creato dalla diga. Un tempo era il porto di Tiger Bay, il più grande esportatore di carbone al mondo, un luogo multiculturale e pieno di vita. Oggi è stato trasformato in un moderno lungomare animato, perfetto per passeggiare con belle viste sull'acqua. Tra i punti principali ci sono il Wales Millennium Center, il Senedd del Parlamento gallese, il Pierhead Building e Mermaid Quay, piena di ristoranti, bar e negozi. È un contrasto piacevole con il Civic Center, più moderno. Well, I think we've covered quite a few things in this video about Wales and its capital, Cardiff. I hope you found it interesting. To wrap things up, I'd like to leave you with a few phrases in Welsh. I also want to apologize for any mistakes in the video, especially with the text-to-speech reader. There were a few errors. For example, when it pronounced some of the numbers in English instead of Welsh. I managed to correct one, but I think I left a couple more uncorrected. I hope you won't mind too much. My priority is always English and Spanish, as those are the languages I'm most comfortable with. With the others, it's understandable that I don't catch every single error. Still, I hope you enjoyed the video. Okay, now, let's talk about some useful Welsh phrases. Earlier you saw that welcome is said as croeso. Now we're going to learn how to say hello and goodbye in Welsh. In Welsh, hello is helo. It's very similar to English and easy to remember. You can also say shwamai, pronounced roughly as shumai, which is a very common and friendly way to greet someone in Wales. For goodbye, the most common word is hwyl pronounced hwyl which literally means big cheer or good luck. A simpler and very popular way to say goodbye is tara or see ya shai, but the classic Welsh farewell is hwyl, pronounced hwyl. So, to recap, hello, or shwamai, goodbye, hwyl or hwyl. These are some of the most useful basic phrases if you ever visit Wales. What you're seeing on screen right now is the Mermaid Quay area. But anyway, let's continue with the Welsh phrases. Now we're going to learn how to say, what's your name in Welsh? In Welsh, what's your name is said as Beth yo di enwedi. Pronunciation guide, Beth yo di enwedi, roughly pronounced as Beth u da en u di. You can reply with Fi enwa I, thy name is, followed by your name. For example, Fi enwa I Carlos equals my name is Carlos. It's a very useful phrase if you meet someone while visiting Wales. Now let's go with another very common phrase. What do you do? Or what's your job? In Welsh, you say Beth wneud ti ni wneud, or more naturally, Beth wneud ti ni wneud gyda dy fiwyd. A shorter and very common version is Beth I di wneud di. Pronunciation guide, Beth wneud ti ni wneud. Roughly, Beth wneud tin I de, Beth I di wneud di. Beth I di wneud di. Beth o du wyth di. To answer, you can say dwi in I am plus your job. Here are some useful examples. Dwi in athro, athrois. Beth, I'm a teacher. Dwi in nurse. Beth, I'm a nurse. Dwi in birianid. I'm an engineer. Dwi in gweithio mion siop. I work in a shop. Dwi in fifrirur. Fifurag. I'm a student. So now you can ask someone what they do and understand their answer.
Well, I think I leave here for today. To be honest, making this video has been quite fun. The truth is, when I start filming, I had no plans to make after explanations in Welsh language. It's something completely improvised. Maybe I'm not the best person to talk about these topics because honestly it's not a language that I can speak. But on the other hand, I think it's interesting this topic because it's not a very popular language, but still it's very interesting. And at the end of the day, languages are deeply connected to people culture, and that's why I believe it's still worth it to talk about this, even if I am not an expert. My videos, after all, are nothing special. I'm just do as a hobby. I am not more than an amateur, so I don't think it's a big deal if I try to talk these kind of things. Thanks to watch the video and see you in the future.